Welcome back to Rich Dad StockCast. I'm your host, Denney, and today's episode is about one of the greatest investments you'll ever make. Not a stock, not an option, not even real estate. It's your kids. Now, most parents want to leave their children money, but what if the greatest gift isn't money at all? What if it's teaching them how money works so they can create wealth for themselves? And unfortunately, most schools still don't teach investing or cash flow or financial independence. So today, Rich Dad expert Andy Tanner is joining me to discuss how parents can teach their kids about investing at any age and help them develop financial confidence that lasts really a lifetime. And before we get into it, make sure you head over to Stockcastbonus.com, grab your free investing tools. Financial education is one of the greatest gifts you can give your family. Andy, welcome back.
Hey, this is, I'm a father first before anything else in my life. You know, father, husband, that's a big deal to me. And so this will be really fun to talk about. If you have children or nieces and nephews or young people in your life and you'd like to teach them, this is something I actually do have some experience in extensively. So we've had some really good success in this. So hopefully we can draw out some ideas for folks that will be beneficial then.
I'm very excited. As someone that has younger kids and getting older, I'm excited to learn from you here. Speaking of experiences, Stockcastbonus.com, some great tools and resources in there for free. What else is in there?
Yeah, we have all kinds of resources depending. I mean, you can look at the menu of things. If you're already an investor, we have really cool, spreadsheets and tools and calculators and trading journals. There's ebooks there that you can download for free. There's webinars you can take to learn more about. We have one reel now that I don't remember the title is, but we show a technique called click and get paid, where you click a mouse and money hits your account at the speed of light through a fiber optic network before the stock even moves. Click and get paid is cool. Stuff like that. How to get multiple streams of income off a single stock. How to stack income on top. It's just kind of fun tricks of the trade that take more than a podcast to delve into. Podcasts need to be generalized topics, and they're not really great training grounds. So this can be much more organized and great education, just a better format if you're serious. And best thing about it is we don't charge for those things. It's a great way for people to get to know us and see if they want to get more serious in some of our paid programs later. Start with the free stuff for sure. That only makes sense. And when it's free and you're interested and it can help you get more money, that's a good deal. So hop over there, and that's why we offer it, because it's a great deal.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic deal. Now, parenting, there's so much to touch here, and I'm very grateful for this. To set up kind of this first question, last week I was teaching in a live seminar, and at the very end, I was speaking with one of the guys, and it was an old pastor. He actually brought 5 of his grandkids, and he was apologetic. He said, "I'm so sorry, I couldn't find a babysitter. I had to bring them here," and I said, I love it. I love that they're here. I love that they're at least getting something through osmosis. So my question to you is, at what age should parents start teaching investing?
When they can talk. We started as soon as they understood language. Even if you back up further, not everyone should have kids. There's no nobility. I mean, I know a lot of people that don't want to have kids, and more power to you, because if you don't want to have it, I'll tell you the difference between me and Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki is ruthless when it comes to teachers in school. And it makes him crazy to see the teachers. And, in my estimation, there's probably some really bad teachers and some probably really good teachers. And, but as a whole, he goes after those teachers in school. Me, man, I go after freaking parents. And when I look at, when some people look at society's problems, they look at school as a big problem. Not saying that it isn't part of the problem, But when I look at society, I'm like, where the hell are these parents? These people have no business having kids because they're not stewards. They don't take it serious. They outsource. They're absentee. They don't know how to parent. They don't care about parenting. So look, if you don't want to have kids, don't have them. Because if you don't want them, you shouldn't have them. But if you want them, look at how society's put together, Del. For 200,000 years, humans have been around now. They think, 100 the evolutionary biologists debate on it. I don't know. But even if even if it was Adam and Eve, bang, that started there 6,000 years ago. Whatever happened, the family unit is how things work. And different things happen in societies at different levels. And the best place to learn something, culture is more powerful than policy. And culture is huge. And that's how people learned how to, you went with mom and dad and learned how to stab a fish with a spear and how to cook it. And the apprenticeship and the journeyman starts with mom and dad showing the kids how to do stuff. So the family unit and the breakdown of that, societally, there's a lot of crappy parents out there. There's some really awful ones. So as Robert will go off on school teachers, what's wrong with these school teachers? I'll say, school teachers, who the hell said it's their job? My job. And I will not relinquish my opportunity and let a school teacher's going to help my kids. My kids have had great ones, life-changing ones, especially their coaches have been life-changing. But even then, I will not relinquish my right, not just my duty, but my right to be the teacher of the most important. I'll let those smart guys teach them math. They can teach them math. But goodness and resilience and toughness and hard work and communication and love and unselfishness and all the things that matter the most, that's dad's job. It's not the college freaking professor's job. So when you start bringing this up about teaching your kids about money, that is the ideal person of anyone on planet Earth to teach kids about money is mom and dad. And that goes for darn near anything that's worthwhile that you be serious about being a teacher and a parent. So there's my rant on that. And we get that out of the way so we can answer the question now. When do you start? When they can walk and talk. That's when we started.
I love that. Now, you've got a couple boys, amazing young men. They're going on to doing great things right now as we speak. And obviously, it's the fruits, right? By their fruits you shall know them. Now, backing the train up a little bit when they were younger and they're starting to learn, what were some of the money lessons they learned early on? Was it assets versus liabilities? Was it cash flow? What did you start instilling into them at an early age?
I will be indebted to all the Rich Dad family forever because my kids grew up Rich Dad. There's probably not another set of kids on planet Earth that grew up more Rich Dad than my kids because Robert would invite them. Kim would, just fabulous. And we would travel all over the world. My son is, 8 years old. Standing on a stage in Argentina with a flip chart and a mic teaching financial education at age 8, and Zach started young too. So they as soon as they could speak, we started doing it. So we started first with, I'll give you a chronology. The first thing we started with was with a lemonade stand when they were about 4. And we made it great, overdid it, lied to overdo everything. And these guys would throw themselves in the front of a moving bus to sell a 50-cent glass of lemonade. And the lesson was very simple. That's how money comes. Having a product and service. And you taught inequality. And capitalism is so important because it's inequality. Inequality is so much better than equality. And see, I say that, and someone will take that snippet right there and then put it out there, and
someone's going in the comments right now.
Someone will go to that, and they'll say, but let me explain what this is, what inequality is in capitalism. In order for someone to part with 50 cents, you've got to give more than you take, or they won't part with it. If they look at that lemonade and they don't think the lemonade is worth more, has to be unequal, it has to be worth more than money in their pocket. An iPhone has to be worth more than, the $1,000 or whatever it costs to get one. So the reason people make a trade with cash for product is inequality. The product has to have a greater, on the scale, right? The thing that balances thing, the value of that product has to be heavier and the cash has to be lighter, so you receive more than you gave. And the entrepreneur has to give more than he receives. So the first lesson is you need to give more than you receive. You need to give out more value than you take in if you're going to be successful. Now that seems weird, because how can that work? Well, you make it up in volume with something our Buckminster Fuller said. The more people that I serve, the more effective I become. And if I can serve the mass, if I can own a stock like Apple, I'm making that inequality massive, because now I'm selling iPhones all over the world, 300 million iPads, boom, off it goes. And that's how it works. So that was the first lesson, was a little lemonade stand that, look, boys, you want to make money, you better give more than you take in this life. You have to give more than you take. Steve Jobs gave more to the world than he took. Jeff Bezos, Stephanie Kelton is, nutty, and she has her little book, The Deficit Myth, and, her nice little freaking fantasy. And she goes after Jeff Bezos and, how many swimming pools do you need? That just shows he gave a lot more to the world than he took. Steve Jobs gave more to the world than he took. Warren Buffett gave more to the world than he took. And even what he had, he's given that out again. So it's always unequal with the great capitalists. They're always giving more than they take. That's why they are where they are. So that lemonade stand was that first lesson of, you must give more than you take if you want to find success. It's got to be unequal. It's got to be unequal. Got to give more than you take. It's got to be unequal, or you won't make it.
Well, let's get into the second lesson from your boys here in just a second. Let's go to a quick break here. Teaching kids about investing isn't about turning them into stock analysts. It's about teaching them how money works. So when we come back, Andy's going to share some practical ways parents can introduce investing and encourage good financial habits and help their kids build confidence around money. And don't forget, go to stockcastbonus.com, download your free investing resources. This is a great place for families to continue to learn together. It's great stuff there. Stick around. We'll be right back.
So far, it's been great. I needed a source where I could really enrich my education through stocks. I didn't really have an avenue for it, and it's helped me a lot. The simplicity has really gotten me on the track to where I enjoy the learning, as well as it's really solidifying in my mind. And they're not just trying to sell you something, they really care about the people that are in the course, and they really do care about you and your personal goals, and what you want to do is to help you and your family and whatever your goals are in life through that. So it's really been great.
Welcome back to Rich Dad StockCast. Okay, Andy, I've seen pictures of the lemonade stand. It was absolutely amazing, and I don't think you overdid. I think it was amazing.
We overdid it.
No, you set a standard that's hard for any other lemonade stand to beat. Now, what's the next step?
Okay, so Warren Buffett has a lot of quotes, and people quote him all the time. Be fearful when people are greedy. Greedy people are fearful. Diversification is answer to ignorance. All these Buffett quotes, right? If you have IQ points, sell them, because temperament's more important than IQ. All that stuff. My favorite Warren Buffett quote is the two-pronged quote. There's really two things you say, but there's a hidden gem in it people miss. And I'll probably destroy the quote, even though it's my favorite one, because it's long. But here it goes. The ultimate irony of the investment business is that an obstetrician will deliver babies better than husband or wife. If you take dentists as a whole, they will fill teeth or remove teeth better than the patients try to do it themselves. But in the investment world, someone who believes in American business and will seek out the lowest way to participate in business and do it consistently will achieve results that exceed those of professional investors, of the Wall Street professionals as a group. It's the only industry I can think of where the average person can outdo Wall Street. That's the essence of the quote, right? Now, most people think that is a declaration that you can do better yourself than Wall Street can. But there's a gem in there that I think people miss, and it is why that is my favorite Buffett quote. Now, listen to what he said. He goes, someone who believes in American business, now listen to this is where people miss it, and will seek out the lowest way to participate in business and be consistent. What does it mean to seek out the lowest way to participate in a business? You hear that quote, and it's right there, word for that part of it is word for word. What does it mean to seek out the lowest way to participate in business? Because if you do that consistently, you'll outperform Wall Street. That's a great question, right? What does he mean when he says that? Well, I'll tell you what he means. Stock ownership is the lowest way to participate. So give me a stock I own. We mentioned Apple. Okay, great. I don't work there. I own shares. I don't do the marketing. I don't build the iPhones. I don't do the R&D. I don't do the accounting. I don't drive the trucks. I don't run the stores. I don't do the sales. I collect a dividend. That's my level of participation. I collect profit. So the second lesson is we taught that work and value brings money in the lemonade stand. And they would go out there and guess where when we would do it the best? We'd work when everyone else was playing. For example, the biggest day of the year for the lemonade stand, year in, year out, they knew they would make hundreds and hundreds of dollars on the 4th of July. If you were willing to work when everyone else was not, then you were going to make a lot of money. So they had this work ethic idea. I said, now what if we could buy an asset and not work, but other people did, and the value still came? What if we decided to participate at the lowest possible level where we don't do any work now, we simply collect a share of the profits? And they're like, what? We don't have to go and do the work? I go, nope. I go, pick a business that you wish you were the owner of. My younger son, and he didn't understand what wokeness was, but I let him do it anyway, is he goes, and I don't mean wokeness in the sense that we shouldn't appreciate inequalities. I'm talking about the nutty kind that is like crazy. And he buys Disney. All right, you want to buy it. So we go to Disneyland. He's like, look at these lines. This is awesome. We must be making lots of money. Oh, yeah, you are. And my other son chose McDonald's. So those are the first two stocks they own. So they went from lemonade stand to shareholder, and they learned what it meant. Now they get money being made by doing nothing. But they're still offering value because they own the business. So they get to offer the value. It's still an inequality. People need to think that Disneyland experience is worth more than the $500 in their pocket because it's $100 just to buy lunch in that place, right? They have to feel that's worth more than the money. So they still get to participate in that balance, but they participate at the lowest level, which is ownership. So the second lesson was transitioning from working in a business in the S quadrant where they were sole proprietors, right? They were never employees. We didn't do that quadrant. We just went from self-employed to investor, where now you took your lemonade money and you took that lemonade money and you switched to the other quadrant by buying a company. Now, the next step, really important, was they didn't know how to do math. And this is where I thank Robert Kiyosaki, because they do understand cash flow, and you don't need to know any math because all you need to know is arrows. And if you look in the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, there's no math in there. It's arrows. So they learned how cash flow worked conceptually without having to know any amounts. And we would get out and drew the arrows. So before they even knew how to count money or do any math, they understood directions of cash flow patterns and where cash flowed and what a good one looked like, what a lousy one looked like. After that, we started playing the game Cash Flow, where we'd team up. Marcy would go with David, I would go with Zach, and mom and dad did the math, but the kids made the decisions, and they made mistakes and learned. So by the time David was 8 years old, Robert could call him up on stage, and he'd look at a deal that was just diagrammed, fairly medium level deal, several refinances and, adding new buildings and, all the stuff and several rounds of financing. And he got up there and he goes, well, they didn't start out with an infant return, but they got there eventually. And he walked us through it, walked the whole crowd in Argentina through it at 8 years old. Why? Not because he was brilliant. He's just like any other kid. My kids aren't, look at their genetics, for crying out loud. Look at their parents. You're like, no, they're not. They didn't have much to work with in the genetics department. But the level of the education was brought down to them. It wasn't that they went up and were brilliant. There's these whiz kids, and that's what the papers wanted to make him into. Like, they're whiz kids. No, they're not. They're down here with everybody else's kid, but the education was brought down to them instead of expecting their intellect to rise to that. The simplification of the education. So that happens with games and lemonade stands and examples with mom and dad. And, he's probably, I don't know, David probably wasn't even talking about it, but Zach was watching Disney Robin Hood, the fox, Robin Hood's a fox and there's all these animals and Prince John is like a tiger or something. But we're on our way to go to Ruth Chris, and he goes, Dad, where are we going? I go, we're going to meet with the tax advisor. He goes, what's a tax advisor? I go, well, some people call them accountants. He goes, what's an accountant? I go, well, the accountant's the guy that makes it so we don't pay too much taxes. He goes, like Robin Hood? I go, yeah, something like that. Then later we're watching Obama was on the TV. He goes, who's that? I go, that's Prince John. But the fact of the matter is we involve them in all these things, and we involve them. Then when they were a little bit older, probably 10, 12 years old, we bought this syndication. They had their own money. And we said, let's take some of your money. You're not allowed to do it because you're not an accredited investor, but we'll sneak you in with mom and dad. I'll take a little bit of your money, combine it with mom and dad's big money, and then you can be part of the syndication. So now they're interested in their properties that they own, the stocks that they own. And then when they got to the 8th grade and they finished 8th grade, Zach got there first. It was COVID year in 2020. And I said, we're not burning a basketball year because we're not going to play basketball. There's no basketball games. And we're burning your freshman. We're not going to 9th grade and not playing hoop. That's bogus. So I said, why don't you do homeschool with dad and mom? We learned real estate, taxes, stocks, options, business. And we studied those 5 topics at home one-on-one for a year. And by the time and my son has sold options and had cash flow ever since. Well, 2 years later when David hits, he goes, hey, there's no COVID. Well, I want to do it too. So we homeschooled them both, and they both know how to cash flow the stock market through options selling and also more elaborate things. And they finished the year. So yeah, I'm pretty serious about it. And there's a reason you want to teach your kids about money. That way, when they get older, they don't move back in with you.
It's a fair point right there. It's a fair point.
They're great kids. I love them. I'm biased, but they know more. It was so funny when he got into high school. My son took the accounting class, and we go to parent-teacher conference. This sweet teacher, she was so nice. She goes, look, I don't know if your son's interested in accounting, but he absolutely needs to be accounting. She goes, I've never seen anyone that just has a natural vision of how cash flow and accounting and balance sheets and income statements. She goes, I've taught a long time. He really should be he's gifted. He just understands accounting really well. And we didn't say anything. Well, that's nice of you to say. That's very kind. She goes, no, really. I mean, you should see this. He gets it. Well, it's because that's my responsibility, not hers. to teach them about money. And besides, we have Tom Wheelwright. I mean, if Tom Wheelwright, my kids love Tom. Tom is like an uncle to my kids, and he's why they get good grades, not me. My grades were horrible, but Tom had good grades, so they want to be like Tom. And when your tax advisor's Tom Wheelwright and he's willing to, talk shop with your kids, they're going to be pretty good too. And Kenny, and Than Merrill, and Garrett Sutton, and the Lannons, and Blair Singer, and Kim Keys, all these people, just it was unfair advantage.
I love that. Final question for you, Andy. If parents want to raise financially confident kids, what's the first step that they should take for themselves?
Cash flow game, hands down. Cash flow game, nothing else is close. Get the cash flow game. I don't know how much it costs. It doesn't matter. Because the cash flow game is about 10% of the cash flow game's on the board, moving pieces around, landing on stuff, drawing cards. That's 10% of the game. 90% of the game is understanding the financial statement. And there's three parts to it. There's an income statement, a balance sheet, and a statement of cash flows. Understanding that. Monopoly isn't even close. That's played on a board, right? You have a little paper money. This is played on a financial statement, which helps people understand cash flow. And I have probably the guy that's done the most cash flow games in history is Darren Weeks. He's probably beat me at that. I'm number 2. I'm pretty confident that I'm probably number 2 in the guy that's conducted more seminars and cash flow games next to Darren. And I've had people that are PhDs in it that can't freaking figure that out because their brains are so complex that you put something simple from them, they're stupefied. I've had people that are accountants that can't play that game because of how school teaches accounting as opposed to how wealth builders see accounting. And so that by freaking a mile, you want financially smart kids, you go buy that cash flow game and just go get it. Go to Rich Dad's site or whatever. And, I don't make any money when you go to Rich Dad's site and do that. I don't care. But that is the answer. By freaking a mile, cash flow game. By a mile.
I love that. Well, listeners, your children may not remember every birthday present you ever gave them, but they'll remember the lessons that gave them confidence and opportunity and financial independence. When you teach a child how to invest, you're not just helping them to build wealth, you're helping them to build a future. And again, huge thank you to Andy Tanner for sharing these practical ideas on raising the next generation of investors. And if you want to continue your financial education, head over to stockcastbonus.com right now. You'll find free tools and resources designed to help every investor of every age to build confidence and financial intelligence. And if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you like it, subscribe, leave us a review. Share this episode with a parent or a grandparent or a teacher or a mentor who wants to prepare the next generation for financial success. Thanks for listening to Rich Dad StockCast. I'm your host, Denney. Stay smart, stay invested, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Del.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.